Hello, I'm Murray Mandrick, political columnist for Leader Post, and with me again is Dave Frazier, our political reporter. And we are again in the bowels of the legislature before the government entrance to the chamber, where there was surprisingly little chatter given the size of the story last week regarding the government's court case related to carbon capture and its challenging of the federal government. Why do you suppose there was so little talk about in the legislature, and do you think that's the same elsewhere outside the legislature?
Well, start outside the legislature. I at least know that a lot of people who I saw sitting on bar stools and whatnot throughout the weekend were talking about it. We're talking about sentiments of Western alienation and what BC is doing to prevent Trans Mountain pipeline expansion, et cetera, et cetera. In the building, as you know, not a lot of chatter about it.
Nothing like a good constitutional challenge to get a bark argument going.
Right, yeah. If you ever see me in a bar, feel free to come and debate me. But it is a curious thing. Maybe it's because the NDP doesn't really have a strong position or much of a position one way or the other, or they don't want to touch the whole idea of pipelines.
Well, I wonder about that, because if it is being chatted about in bars and elsewhere, it's probably being done in a way, framed in a way where I think Scott Moe and the Saskatchewan Party government can fare rather well. And that's basically the notion that Ottawa is imposing something on us, a tax, that we have a good, legitimate court argument that it shouldn't happen. And until courts prove otherwise, that argument isn't solid, and they might not. The nature of the argument, who knows once it gets to the Court of Appeal and Supreme Court level, what's going to be decided. But having put forward that argument, there seems to be instant credibility lended to their notion that they're opposing this for reasons other than politics. And I wonder if that's what's sort of fueling the bar talk elsewhere. It sure isn't happening with the opposition to any great extent.
Yeah, and right away we saw the Saskatchewan Party take Scott Moe, sort of his blistering response to the NDP questioning about this, and post the video online, and it got a bunch of hits. And a lot of people on there are bringing up this whole sentiment of Western alienation again, which, as an old timer, you probably know a little bit more about than I do. But is this an all-time high of Western alienation in recent history for you, do you think?
Well, in recent history, it's sort of settled down because of the Quebec situation settling down. I think that it's inversely proportional sometimes. I think what's happening right now is, because the economy is the way it is, there is a sincere frustration about moving product, moving resources, the need to get oil going. Even though gas prices are high, they're not drilling as much. So maybe that's why it is hitting home in the bar, and maybe that's why it's not hitting home as much here.
Yeah, the last name of the guy in Ottawa running the country might not help that either.
Might not help that one little bit.
Thanks for joining us.
I remember his dad, though.
You would?
Yeah.